Okay, this is take two because the first one didn't work. Welcome back to my second study video. You won't get to see the first one, as I said, didn't work. You can see at the top here I've put some headings for myself. So this is an approach to study that I think. Of course, feel free to look up on YouTube other ones, and if I get a bit of time, I'll have a look around, see if I can link some in the description below. Don't forget to not subscribe or like this video because I don't want you to. Okay, organisation. Here we go. What are the first things that you need to do when you are studying? Well, first off, you need to cut down on wasted time. Okay, so if it's taking you, say, 5 minutes to find your stuff, then that's 5 minutes of study that you haven't actually done, and that's going to irritate you. That's going to get you to the point where you're just going to say, oh, I'm sick of this. Other things I'd say is, do you have notes? Okay, so you've all got booklets. Are your booklets filled in? If they're not, then you need to find someone who has the information that you do. There were the Bria ones that were around in those folders. You could have a look through Bria's booklet and copy some of those notes. The other thing, you could have a look at Canvas. So on Canvas, on our team page, there's my notes. So they're handwritten notes. I apologise for the spelling, but you should have written your own. And feel free to use them, print them, copy them out, whatever you want to do with them. Remember this though, they are for 2 units. So like for chemistry, if there's stuff in there that you think, oh, I've never seen this before, that's because you haven't. There will be a second chemistry unit towards the end. So do I have the notes? Do I have the things that I need to learn with me? The next thing I'd look at would be your rubrics. Okay, now what I mean by that is this thing. Okay, now I gave you this when we did our chemistry unit. You have one. If not, I'm pretty sure it's on Teams and it's also on Canvas. You can have a look or borrow it off someone and put it on a photocopier tomorrow and make sure you've got it. So what I want you to do with this, of course, is let's say that this is what you want. This is the where you're aiming for this year in science. You may have got here last year, or you just decide that's your goal, what you want to be. So you actually need to know all this. Okay, so you need to know these particular points and these particular things. So I'd probably start off by getting a fresh piece of paper. What was the first heading there? Finding elements on the table. So find elements on periodic table. Now, of course, if you know how to do this, and of course you just have to look at the table. If you know how to do this, then probably just give it a tick and say, okay, right, yeah, I know how to do that. And then, of course, what you're going to be producing here is a set of what I would call summaries. Okay, so summarizing or reducing the amount of data that you've got or the amount of information that you've got around these particular points. So, for instance, some things here like how many protons and electrons, that's in your booklet. You should remember how to do that, but of course, if you're stuck, then what are you actually going to do? Well, I would probably go to YouTube. Now, there's a lot of channels here. So, Eddie Wu, good for maths. Okay, I like Eddie. He explains things very well. There's Tyler DeWitt. He's very good. I think it's DeWitt. I'm not sure, but you'll find him, and he's also in Teams. There's a video in Teams that you can look at for him. So Eddie for maths, Tyler DeWitt for science. Remember, there's also mine. So there's my YouTube channel if you want to watch that. These guys are very good at YouTube. I am very not good at YouTube, so feel free to have a look at them at some stage. The other thing, do you have your old tests? I'm running out of room here, I'll go up here. Do you have your old tests? Now, I also, too, at the majority at the end of each test, I say, does anybody want my solution? So did you collect them? Now, if you don't, then what you're going to have to do is find them from someone else. I can look for my copies, but of course I did offer it. And so if you didn't take it at that time, you can't really rely on me to be making sure that it's always there. So remember, ask others. Okay, a lot of you have friends and they will have all this stuff. So this would be for me maybe my first week of study. So maybe a week. All right. Now, what I mean by this is that I would like to be able to just, like I could just reach over and grab this rubric. That's what I would like my stuff to look like. That's what I mean about organisation. So I don't worry about this 5 minutes. I'm not sitting here opening a folder and going through 60,000 pages to try and find what I want. It's organised. It's ready to go. This, I think you will find, will cut a lot of stress away. Because some of the stress of getting started for studying is, oh, where is everything? Oh, it's going to take me ages to go and find it. That is the case, but if you organise it, and you can use that as part of your study on the wall. chart that we've got, if you do that, you'll reduce your stress considerably, and it'll be very, very quick. Remember, I said 10 to 20 minutes a night to start off with, so 10 to 20 minutes tonight. You could be saying, okay, do I have all my old tests? If not, who am I going to ask tomorrow? Done. Okay. How have I got my notes? I'm going to look through my booklet. I missed the lesson on combining polyatomics. So are you going to find someone to get those notes? Are you going to, of course, come down here and maybe watch Tyler DeWitt's and see if you can write your own? These are all decisions that you want to make within that first week. So you're ready to go. Okay. Second thing would be a timetable. So, generally speaking, if I'm going to plan a week, I have a little planner. It's got like the 3 blocks of the week. It's got a little bit at 5 days. Let's get 5 in there. It's got a little bit extra room down here if there's anything that I need to add. And, of course, it's got block 1, block 2, block 3, of course, because that's what we do here at school. For you, you're going to need to have a think about what times is best for you. So, you need to consider things like work. Okay, now I don't know if you've considered this, but are you going to do shifts during your exam? If not, then what you might want to do is tell these people early, okay? So there's more chance you can get it. Don't walk in on like Sunday and say, I've got an exam tomorrow, I can't work next week. Give them a little bit of warning and you'll get the time that you want. So when do you work? What days do you work? Etc., etc. And then you might want to consider how much study you're going to do on certain days. So you might play sport. So, okay, so you're going to be playing sport during your exams. Are you going to study after it? Now, remember, I told you to do this. Know yourself. There is no point writing this timetable if you don't know this. Okay, so if you know that you're not going to come back from playing a game of basketball to do 20 minutes of study, then put that 20 minutes somewhere else. Are you with me? It may be another day. It may be something along the lines. Now, not only know yourself, but make it realistic. Okay, so I don't want you, for instance, to go, I can't bother doing anything Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, so I'm going to do 7.5 hours on Saturday. Now, is that realistic? Are you realistically going to be sitting there studying for 7 hours on a Saturday? And my guess would be no. And if you don't make it realistic and you make this bigger than Ben-Hur, then you're going to stop it. And as soon as the first time that you don't do it, that's it. Okay? It's most likely that you're going to be stopped for the whole gist of it. It's going to be like, oh, I made the timetable, didn't do the first day. You're not likely to do the second day. So that's why I say know yourself and be realistic. Set yourself realistic goals. If you really struggle with this, then the first might be 5 minutes. The first might be, okay, I'm going to look at my old test. It's better than nothing, isn't it? So approach it in that particular way. You don't have to make a table like this, but some kids find it easy to follow it if they do this. And it's also really nice to get stuff like work, sports, family time, different things, all plugged out here. So you do have a realistic idea about when you can actually fit these in. Now, remember, if you catch a bus, it could be get your phone out, watch a 10-minute Eddie Wu video on the bus on the way into school. You're probably sitting there watching God knows what on Facebook or whatever. Why not use that time then, like that dead bus time, to do a little bit of studying or to watch something on it or just consider it. So that's the timetable. So make sure that you've set it up. Now, in here, I'm going to put some other things. I want you to think about where. Okay, where are you going to study? I would not study at home because, of course, I get too distracted by my computer and computer games and different things like that. But where are you going to study? How long are you going to do it for? And how, I suppose, is also really important. And I suppose now we're kind of moving to the actually doing it. So what I mean by actually do it is you actually have to do it. Okay, you can organise yourself as much as you want. You can set your timetable up, but you've got to be there. You've got to actually do the study. So how are you going to study? I want you to consider stuff like, are you going to study to music? I can't. I just can't. I end up singing blah, 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 blah. And it's not really good for me. I can't study with the telly on. In fact, I'm not studying. I'm actually just watching telly or listening to music in both those particular cases. Because remember, your brain is going to probably default to the thing that you enjoy the most. And I don't know if my maths and science classes are more interesting than the music or television that you're watching. I'm going to have a guess that they're not. So, what can you do to study? Well, there are a hell of a lot of things. You can get on a campus. and there are study sheets, there's past tests, there's quizzes, there's heaps of different things. So you can have a look through Canvas and Teams. Okay, so there's worksheets. I think the booklets are on Teams. Canvas has more stuff, as in quizzes and things like that. But Teams, of course, is more up to date. So we're having a look through this. What other things could you do? Well, we've talked about YouTube. Okay, so many of you will be visual learners. You might decide to watch some YouTube videos. As I said, it is better than nothing, and you know the people that are there. Other things, so got Canvas, Teams, Kahoot. Okay, there's many Kahoots that are already made, so you can go and have a look at Kahoot and see if there's one that's there. I know you guys love it. There's another app called Quizlet. You can use Quizlet to make yourself some flashcards. It's a computer thing. If you remember the Quick Smart cards, they're on Quizlet. So that's the kind of thing that you can make, like our Quizlet cards for your Quick Smart maths. Other things, study sheet. So I showed you Bria's study sheet, so you might want to consider this. So how would I consider a study sheet? And I've drawn it out here where there is no pen. Is an A3 sheet, just a big A3 sheet. I suppose you should do it next to the study sheet, shouldn't I? We'll get rid of that. So just a big A3 sheet, and on it, what I consider is just go home and what did you learn each night. So you go back tonight, and of course you were at Ryder today, but you could go back and you could talk about the organelles that we did the cutout for. So the Golgi body, what is it? And of course, hopefully many of you have said the post office. What's the nucleus, the brain, etc., etc. So you can put those very short details on here. Now remember, this is a summary. Okay, so you don't rewrite your notes on this. This is just stuff that you need to remember. All right? So the key stuff you want to put on this study sheet. Why do I like an A3 sheet? I just like A3 paper. But the other thing is also too is that we're back to here, organisation. It's all in one place. It's incredibly easy to find, and I've cut down this, what I like to call faffing time. So you're just kind of sitting around procrastinating, doing nothing, and thinking, oh, where's my books or things like that. It's better you don't do anything if you're going to do that all the time, because this is going to build up stress. You're going to go, oh, hang on, I've studied for my exams, but like realistically, you haven't. You spent 5 minutes flipping through your folder, you got frustrated, and then you stopped. It's not really study, so just have a think about that. So I suppose we've got actually doing it. So we've done a lot of who, what, where, and why, but I probably over here want to put a what column. So what are we going to study? I'm just going to move that over a bit, okay? So there are things. Look through your old tests, okay? So there are questions. Now, this one, for instance, if you remember the ice cream cup, okay? You've got it a couple of times in. You've got a lot in. I've done it 2 examples, I think. It was on your first test. So it's a fair guess that it's most likely going to be now. Of course, this is not always the case, but it's most likely that that type of question is going to pop up on my test. So I know I have to do it. If we think about the compound and simple interest, there's the link that we studied in class this week, the link between simple and compound interest. Now, I told you that was going to be a question, guaranteed to be in the test. I told you it's the big thing in your curriculum document that we're looking for, kind of like our WILF. And so in that case, that is something that you need to know. All right, think of some of the other stuff. So if you remember combining ions. So do you remember when we had sodium and we had 1 electron and chlorine only had 1 space for an electron? That is a guaranteed thing. If you don't know that, you're not going to do very well in the chemistry section of your science exam. It is a guaranteed thing. We studied it so much. You might want to consider going back. You can watch a video. You can come to one of these sessions. Someone's sitting in here with me now on a Thursday as I go through this particular video. You can ask me at recess. I mean, there are so many things that you can do. You just need to get into it and do it. So what would I do if I was going to be studying for this exam? Well, if you've done nothing, this. I want to say it's organisation, but I'd also say find stuff. Okay, so have a look. Find stuff that you think is good for you. So if you don't like the stuff that we've provided on Teams or Canvas, then of course have a look for your own stuff. I'm sure if you typed in grade 10 blah blah blah, like maths exam linear or grade 10 maths exam, something like that, you would find for yourself questions or things that you could actually do to do this. So that's the first one. I'll get into it in a little bit more detail, as in actually I'll pull this rubric out and then I'll go through how to study and summarize stuff probably in next Thursday's video. But this one was just about being organized and getting yourself together. Okay, thank you very much if you were listening. If you're not, well, you never heard it anyway, so it doesn't matter. See you later, kids.